Graduation night. Chloe Henderson posted a flyer for an 18-plus party. In our class group chat on Snapchat. We're finally adults who's still trying to play the good little kid. Let's celebrate graduation tonight. Drinks, games, and a taste of the real adult world. In my past life, I tried my best to stop this party. I contacted the school counselor, notified parents, and even rushed to the entrance of the venue to block everyone. The party was eventually canceled. Chloe didn't get her promoter fee. She became the laughingstock of the entire grade and ended up jumping off a building. But everyone said I was the one who killed her. They got me drunk, dragged me to the rooftop, and forced me to kneel before her memorial photo to apologize. And they pushed me off the edge. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the exact moment she posted that flyer on Snapchat. She tagged me directly in the chat. Sienna Crawford, you're not going to ruin the fun again, are you? I looked at her Venmo link, the penthouse suite address, the premium adult live stream preview, and the 2 underage names on the RSVP list. I smiled. This time I didn't say a single word of warning. Do whatever you want, just don't drag me down with you. I simply took screenshots, screen recorded, and saved all the evidence. Then I turned around and dialed the police. Hi, I'd like to report an illegal party involving underage drinking and sketchy live streaming. The class group chat on Snapchat blew up after Chloe posted the flyer. The messages scrolled up like crazy. Oh, my God. A graduation party? Exciting. This is how you celebrate graduation. Who wants to go to some boring karaoke bar? Is the whole class going? That is going to be wild. Chloe is amazing. How did you even book a place like this? A flyer was designed to look highly suggestive. Black background with bold red letters. At the top it read, "Don't waste your first night as an adult." Below that were photos of the penthouse suite, dim lighting, towers of alcohol, and a few blurred screenshots of a live stream. I stared at my phone screen, my fingertips turning cold. I knew this flyer all too well. In my past life, Chloe had used this exact image to drag our entire class into that sketchy graduation party. I was the class valedictorian back then. I begged her to delete the flyer, went to the school counselor, and called the parents. I forced the party to shut down. Because of that, Chloe lost her promoter fee. She was mocked by everyone and eventually took her own life. And I was lured to the rooftop by them, forced to kneel before her picture. Logan Carter's eyes had been bloodshot as he yelled, "Sienna, why couldn't you just let her be happy for once?" And then he pushed me off. Now I was back at the moment Chloe posted the flyer. Chloe sent a voice note to the group. Her voice was sickeningly sweet. "Come on, guys. Don't chicken out. We've worked so hard for this. We're finally adults. We should at least see what the real adult world looks like, right? It's not anything bad. It's just making a memory for our youth." Immediately, someone chimed in. "Chloe is right. Imagine being an adult and still letting your parents ground you. Embarrassing. Anyone who doesn't show up tonight is a coward." Watching their excitement, I felt incredibly calm. In this life, I wouldn't stop them. But they were not going to put my name on that list either. I typed in the group, "I'm not going. Please remove my name from the list." After I sent the message, the group chat fell silent for 2 seconds. Then Chloe tagged me. "See, Sana, you're not going to be a buzzkill again, are you? It's our last class event. If you don't come, it's going to be so awkward for everyone." Logan jumped in right after. "Sana, can you stop acting like you're better than everyone else? Do you have any idea how much effort Chloe put into booking this place for us? What do you mean you're not going?" I stared coldly at the screen. I said, "I'm not going, and I don't authorize anyone to use my name for RSVPs, promotion, or collecting money." The group chat exploded. "She really thinks she's some VIP who even wants you there. Better if she doesn't come. Otherwise, she'd probably call the cops on us." At the venue, Chloe posted a sad face emoji. "Guys, don't talk about Sienna like that. He's just a bit conservative. But the guest list has already been submitted. Changing it now is going to be a huge pain." I looked at that sentence and smirked. In my past life, this was exactly how I got dragged into the MUD. Guest list is already submitted. The deposit is paid. The photos are already used. The promo flyer is already out. They tied me to their ship step by step, and then cursed at me for not wanting to drown with them. This time, I replied directly, "I don't care how much of a pain it is. Change it. Otherwise, I will take legal action." Chloe stopped replying in the group chat. Instead, she sent me a direct message. "Sienna, do you have to do this? Everyone just wants to relax. You're really ruining the vibe." I didn't reply. I opened the flyer. She sent. Screenshot. Open the payment code. Screenshot. Open the RSVP list. Screenshot. Then I screen recorded the entire group chat and saved it time. I wouldn't waste my breath running to them to play the savior. I would let their own actions destroy them. Chloe had always been good at manipulating people. Her talent wasn't playing the victim. It was wrapping her own selfish greed in the blanket of everyone's freedom. She posted another long message in the group chat. I know some people might think this kind of party is sketchy, but we've graduated and most of us are 18. This is our first time making our own decisions. Are we really going to live under other people's judgment? I'm not doing this for myself. I just want us all to remember this night. With just a few words, she turned herself into a saint, fighting for the class's freedom. Someone immediately followed up. Chloe, don't worry about her. She's been like this since freshman year, trying to control everything. Sienna, if you don't want to go, fine, but don't ruin it for the rest of us. Logan called me directly. I picked up and turned on the call recorder. Sienna, what the hell is your problem? His voice was aggressive. You weren't like this before. I asked calmly. How was I before? You used to look out for everyone. Now I'm looking out for myself. Logan choked on his words. After a few seconds, he lowered his voice. Chloe is going through a lot. Her parents are super strict. Now that she's finally graduated, she just wants to have fun with everyone. Can you stop targeting her? I laughed. How am I targeting her? I just said, I'm not going. Not going is disrespectful to her. Then her respect is way too expensive. Logan lost his patience. Sienna, can you stop being so sarcastic? The whole class is going except you. Do you think that's right? I asked him. 2 of our classmates on that list aren't 18 yet. Did you know that? The other end of the line went silent for a moment. Logan quickly dismissed it. It's only a few months difference. Besides, it's not like we're doing anything illegal. And why does it have to be an 18-plus party? Why are there suggestive games? Why is there a live stream room linked to it? Logan's voice grew even more annoyed. Can you stop thinking everything is so dirty? It's just games. Chloe said. There will be party promoters. And some top donors from the stream will send gifts. Just to make it more hyped. Because I didn't immediately argue with him. He kept talking and revealed more. I asked softly, why would random donors send us gifts? Logan took it for granted to watch young people having fun. They have money to burn. And what happens after they send gifts? Why do you care so much? I looked at the recording waves on my screen. Logan, are you absolutely sure nothing will go wrong tonight? He said, I'm sure if anything happens, I'll take full responsibility. I said, fine. Remember what you just said? After hanging up, I backed up the recording. Chloe posted a new update in the group chat. 8 o'clock tonight as your Heights penthouse. It's $100 per person. That covers the suite, drinks, game props, and the entry. Pass for the live stream. Bring your IDs. We'll check them at the door to make sure we're of age. I stared at the word IDs. Someone asked, what if we're underage? Chloe replied quickly, don't ask that in the group. I'll handle it once we get there. She added a winking emoji. I took a screenshot. A second later, she unsent the message. Too bad. It was too late. I sent her a DM. Remove me from the list. Also, the underage kids shouldn't go. She replied instantly. Sienna, did you screen record our chat? What are you so nervous about? Finally, she sent, I just want everyone to have fun. I didn't reply. Someone who genuinely wanted everyone to have fun wouldn't drag underage classmates to a place like that. And she definitely wouldn't put my picture on her promo flyer. After I rejected her, I clicked on her Instagram post. Caption read, graduated. The whole class is entering the adult world tonight. In the photo collage, my school portrait was placed in the corner. Underneath it said, even our straight of valedictorian is coming. The comment section was already getting weird. The quiet ones are always the wildest. Can't wait to see her. Where's the stream link? I stared at those comments, my fists clenching. In my past life, I died because of them, and I even blamed myself for being a busybody. Now I finally understood some people aren't blind to boundaries. They just think that as long as everyone is dragged down with them, no one can point fingers. I saved the post, the comments, and the payment QR code. Then I called the police tip line. Hi, I want to report something. Someone is organizing a high school graduation party that involves underage drinking and sketchy live streaming. There will be minors there, and there's a risk of non-consensual filming and streaming. I have the group chat logs, payment codes, address, and promo flyers. The officer on the phone instantly grew serious. Do not go to the location yourself and do not confront them. Send all your evidence to this email. I said, will do. After hanging up, I organized all the evidence into a folder. At 6 p.m., Chloe started pushing for the payments. The RSVP list was updating rapidly in the group chat. Chloe Henderson paid, Logan Carter paid, Justin Miller paid. 7:20 p.m. My parents were still working late. I was home alone. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. Logan was standing at the door. Two other boys from our class were with him. They were holding a gift bag, smirking. Logan knocked on the door. Sienna, I know you're in there. Open up. I remained quiet. He knocked harder, his voice growing impatient. Stop hiding. The whole class is waiting for you. Don't you feel bad? I took out my phone and started video recording through the door. I asked, what are you doing here? To pick you up, I said. I'm not going. Too bad. Logan's tone was mocking. You're the valedictorian. The graduation party isn't complete without you. The boy next to him laughed. You don't even have to change. We have people at the party who can do your makeup. I asked coldly, who sent you? Logan said, Chloe is doing this for your own good. She said, you're just shy. Once you get there, and the vibe is right, you'll probably wild out more than any of us. Logan, you said in the group chat that you'd drag me there. Is that still your plan? It went quiet outside the door for a second. He seemed to realize I might be recording. Don't twist my words. I was obviously joking. Then leave now, Sienna. He lowered his voice. Don't push your luck. Chloe's stream is already getting hyped up. If you don't show, the big donors are going to charge back their gifts. Do you have any idea how much money she'll have to refund? So Chloe had already sold us out as entertainment for her stream. I asked. So, if I don't go, she loses money? Logan stayed silent. I kept asking, who is she taking money from? Who are these donors? And why is my photo on the flyer? Logan snapped, frustrated. Sienna, are you done? It's just a photo. People wanted to see the smart girl. What's the big deal? I recorded every single word. Then I dialed 911. Hi. There are people blocking my door, threatening to force me to an illegal party. I have audio and video recordings of the threat outside. Logan's face instantly paled. Sienna, you actually called the cops? I stared at him through the door. Yes. Didn't you say you take full responsibility? Let's see if you can handle this first. The hallway outside my front door fell into an uneasy, suffocating silence. Logan's eyes widened through the glass peephole. The color drained from his face. So fast it was almost comical. The two boys standing behind him, two varsity football players who had come along as muscle, exchanged terrified glances. Sienna, you're bluffing, Logan spat, though his voice cracked on the last syllable. He grabbed the doorknob, twisting it aggressively, but my deadbolt was through solid. Open the door. Cancel the call right now. I don't bluff, Logan, I said through the speaker of a smart doorbell. The dispatcher has your name, your location, and a live audio feed of you attempting to break into my house to drag me to an illegal party. Every second you stand there, you're adding another charge to your record. You crazy bitch, one of the guys behind him cursed, backing away toward the elevator. Logan, let's go. If the cops show up, my dad will kill me. Shut up. Logan hissed, sweat glistening on his forehead under the dim hallway light. He leaned in close to the peephole, his voice dropping into a menacing whisper. You think you're so smart, don't you? Chloe was right about you. You're a toxic, miserable psycho who can't stand seeing anyone else happy. You're going to regret this, Sienna. I swear to God, you're going to pay for this. Save it for the judge, I replied calmly. Down the street, the faint, wailing echo of police sirens began to cut through the quiet summer night. It wasn't just one squad car, it sounded like three, approaching rapidly from the main boulevard. Logan panicked. He lunged at my door once more, banging his fist hard against the wood, before turning around and taking off down the stairwell, his heavy footsteps echoing frantically through the building. I didn't open the door. I didn't go to the window. I sat down at my desk, saved the doorbell camera recording to 3 separate cloud drives, and opened my laptop. On my primary screen, I pulled up the stream preview link Chloe had shared earlier. On my secondary screen, I brought up the encrypted portal the police dispatcher had emailed me to upload evidence. My hands weren't shaking. In my past life, my hands had trembled constantly with fear, with guilt, with the sheer desperation to save people who secretly hated me. But that Sienna Crawford was dead. She had died on a freezing rooftop, forced onto her knees before a framed photograph of a girl who had manipulated an entire school into serving her ego. The new Sienna Crawford felt nothing but ice. Within 3 minutes, my phone rang. It was an officer from the local precinct, standing outside my apartment building. I guided them up, opened the door, and handed them a thumb drive containing everything. The group chat logs, the threat recordings, the Venmo history showing Chloe's hidden tiers for VIP donor access, and the exact floor plan of the penthouse at Azure Heights. Miss Crawford, the lead officer said, scanning the printed text messages I had, neatly organized in a folder. You've practically built this case for us.
Did
You say there are minors already inside the venue? Yes, I said, pointing to two specific names on the printed RSVP sheet.
Maya?
Vance and Toby Reed. Both are 17. Chloe Henderson explicitly told them in private messages, which I've included on that drive, that she would bypass the venue's ID check for them. The officer looked at the live stream preview running on my laptop screen.
The
timer was ticking down. 15 minutes until go live. Stay home, Miss Crawford, the officer commanded sternly. Do not answer the door for anyone else tonight. We're dispatching units to Azure Heights immediately. Thank you, officer, I said politely. As soon as they left, I locked the door, pulled up a fresh cup of tea, and sat back down in front of the screen. The show was about to begin. At 7:45 p.m., the group chat was still exploding with activity, completely oblivious to what was unfolding on my side of town. Chloe, where is everyone? The suite is insane. Look at this view. She posted a short video showing the top floor of the Azure Heights Tower.
glass.
Walls overlook the city skyline, strobe lights flashing pink and purple against leather couches. Tables were lined with imported liquor bottles, vape pens, and dark velvet curtain ceiling off a small side room labeled Stream Room, VIP. Only. Justin. Bro, this place is crazy. Worth every penny. Sarah. Is Sienna really not coming? Chloe. Forget about her, guys. She made her choice. She wants to sit in her bedroom and study for college while we actually live our lives. Logan went to go talk to her, but he's not answering his phone. Whatever. We don't need buzzkills.
Tonight.
The live stream starts in 10 minutes. I watched the chat scroll by. Teenagers who thought they were stepping into adulthood were actually walking straight into a trap designed by a girl drowning in debt. In my past life, I hadn't understood why Chloe was so desperate to throw this
Party.
I thought she was just a spoiled, wild teenager who wanted to be popular. It wasn't until after I stopped the party that the truth leaked out in whispers. Chloe owed over $20,000 to a shady online talent agency.
They
Had advanced her cash for her designer clothes, her trips, and her influencer lifestyle on the condition that she host private, age-gated live streams featuring her high school classmates. She wasn't a promoter. She was a broker. And her classmates were the inventory. In my previous life, when I canceled the party, her sponsors came after her. They ruined her reputation, threatened her family, and released her private contract details online. Unable to face the financial and legal fallout, she jumped from the roof of her apartment building. And her friends, clueless, angry, and manipulated, blamed me for destroying her dreams. Not this time. At 8 p.m. sharp, the live stream status changed from upcoming to live. The platform was called Aura TV, a fringe, unregulated streaming site hosted on overseas servers. The stream title read, Valedictorian After Party, Unfiltered, High School Graduates. The view count immediately jumped from 0 to 5,000, then 10,000. Comments flooded the sidebar at light speed, posted by accounts with weird handles and generic avatars. User 8821, where's the valedictorian girl from the flyer? PartyKing_99, is this the stream with the dare games? Donor_X. Sent $500. Make them do the will spin. On the screen, Chloe was holding a microphone, wearing a glittering red dress. She looked gorgeous, radiant, and utterly ruthless. Hey, everyone. Chloe giggled into the camera, tilting her phone to capture the room filled with roughly 40 high school seniors, many of whom were already holding red solo cups. Welcome to the real graduation night. We've got alcohol, we've got games, and if we hit our gift goal of $10,000 tonight, we're unlocking the VIP room. The crowd of teenagers in the background cheered, holding up their cups.
Maya.
Vance and Toby Reed, the two 17-year-olds, were front and center laughing as Chloe poured shots directly into their mouths. My phone screen flickered. A private message from an unknown number popped up. It was Logan. Logan, you snitched to the cops, didn't you? I saw the cruiser park outside your building. You ruined everything. Chloe is going to destroy you. I didn't type a word. I simply took a screenshot of his text, added it to the police folder drive, and minimized the tab. On the stream, Chloe's smile began to falter slightly. She kept looking down at her phone, her eyes darting nervously toward the entrance of the suite. She was clearly wondering why Logan hadn't returned and why the police car he had spotted hadn't deterred her yet. "All right, guys," Chloe shouted into the microphone, trying to keep her voice steady. "Our first major donor just dropped $2,000. That means it's time for our first game, truth or strip." A collective gasp and roar went through the crowd in the penthouse. Some girls looked uncomfortable, hesitating, but Chloe quickly grabbed the microphone and pushed them into a circle. "Come on, guys, don't be prudes. We're adults now. Who wants to start?" She grabbed Maya Vance by the arm and pulled her toward the center of the camera frame. "Maya, you're 17, well, almost 18. Show them how a real adult handles a challenge." Maya blushed, clearly intoxicated, laughing nervously. "Chloe, I don't know. Do it. Do it. Do it." The crowd chanted, fueled by alcohol and the hype Chloe had spent weeks building. The chat on the side of the stream went wild, comments scrolling past too fast to read. And then the sound came. It wasn't a gentle knock. It was a thunderous, metallic slam against the heavy double doors of the penthouse suite.
Bang. Bang. Bang.
"Police department. Open the door immediately." The music in the penthouse didn't stop right away. The DJ, a hired college kid, sitting in the corner with a laptop, looked up in confusion. The teenagers in the middle of the living room froze, cups hovering near their lips. Is that part of the party?" someone asked loudly. "Did Chloe hire fake cops?" On the live stream, Chloe's face turned paper white. The microphone in her hand shook visibly. "Chloe?" Maya asked, pulling her shirt back down, her voice trembling. "What's going on?" "Nothing. It's fine," Chloe yelled, her sweet voice suddenly laced with panic. She spun around toward the DJ. "Shut the music off. Turn off the lights."
Boom.
Before anyone could move, the heavy front door was breached. The lock shattered, and the door swung open, slamming against the wall. Over a dozen police officers in tactical gear, accompanied by plainclothes detectives and representatives from the State Division of Alcoholic Beverage Control, flooded into the penthouse. "Nobody move. Put your hands where we can see them. Step away from the drinks." Chaos erupted. Girls screamed. Red Solo cups dropped onto the hardwood floor, spilling whiskey and vodka across the expensive rugs. Several guys tried to run toward the balcony, but two officers immediately cut them off. "Get on the ground."
Now.
"I didn't do anything. I'm just attending." Justin Miller screamed, throwing his hands in the air and falling to his knees. The camera on Chloe's selfie stick was still rolling, because she was holding it high. The entire raid was broadcast live to over 15,000 viewers on the internet. "Turn that camera off," a detective barked, stepping directly into the frame.
He
Grabbed the phone right out of Chloe's hands. "Hey, that's my personal property. You can't touch that." Chloe shrieked, her voice dropping all sweet pretenses. She lunged forward, trying to snatch the phone back. "Do you know who my parents are? Do you know how much this suite costs?" "Chloe Henderson?" the detective asked coldly, reading from a tablet held by another officer. "You are under arrest for the operation of an unlicensed commercial venue, contributing to the delinquency of minors, illegal distribution of alcohol, and suspicion of human exploitation involving non-consensual broadcasting." "What?"
No.
"This is just a graduation party," Chloe screamed, her eyes wide with terror as an officer grabbed her wrists and pulled them behind her back. "We're just having fun. Everyone wanted to be here. Ask them." She turned around, looking desperately at her classmates who were currently being herded into a line against the wall, having their IDs checked. "Tell them," Chloe cried out. "Sienna set me up. Sienna Crawford did this.
She
Hates me." The detective looked down at Chloe with absolute disdain. "Miss Crawford isn't the one who set up an illegal paywalled stream on a foreign server, Miss Henderson. Nor is she the one who took thousands of dollars in anonymous donations from unregistered adult accounts while serving alcohol to 17-year-olds. He turned the stream off. The screen went black. Back in my apartment, the live video feed abruptly cut out, replaced by gray screen that read, "Stream terminated by law enforcement." I took a slow sip of my tea. The room was utterly quiet. Outside my window, the city lights flickered peacefully. I opened Snapchat. The class group chat was dead silent. Nobody was posting. Nobody was laughing. The hype, the arrogance, the wild excitement of entering the adult world It had all evaporated into thin air within 2 hours. I opened my laptop's calendar and looked at the date marked for 2 months from now, orientation day at Stanford University. In my past life, I had forfeited my scholarship because the emotional trauma, the public witch hunt, and the constant harassment from my peers drove me into severe depression. This time, I was going to pack my bags, buy a new wardrobe, and step into the ivy-covered halls of my dream school with an untarnished record. As for Chloe and her loyal followers, they were about to receive their very first lesson in how the adult world actually works. By 2 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was a call from Detective Miller, the lead investigator on the case. Miss Crawford. His voice was exhausted but professional. I know it's late, but we need you to come down to the station to give a formal statement.
Your
Evidence was instrumental in securing the warrants tonight. I'll be there in 20 minutes, I replied. My parents, who had just returned home from their late shifts, were horrified. When I explained what had happened, my mother gripped my hand tightly as my father drove us to the precinct. Those horrible kids, my mother whispered, her eyes teary. They tried to drag you into that illegal mess? Thank God you were smart enough to stay away. I'm fine, Mom, I said softly. I'm completely safe. When we arrived at the police station, the lobby was pure bedlam. Parents were shouting at the front desk. Mothers were crying, fathers were threatening to sue the city, and dozens of high school graduates, still wearing their party clothes, makeup smudged and eyes swollen from crying, were sitting on metal benches waiting to be processed. As I walked through the lobby with my parents, the room went dead silent. Sarah, who had called me a buzzkill in the group chat 2 hours ago, looked up from her bench. Her designer dress was stained with red wine. When her eyes met mine, her expression turned from shock to pure, burning malice. Sienna? Sarah screamed, jumping up from the bench. You sick snitch. Look what you did to us. My college admission is going to be revoked because of you. Her mother grabbed her arm, but Sarah tried to lunge toward me. You ruined everything. Chloe was just trying to do something nice for the class. You ruined our lives. I stopped. I didn't flinch. I looked at Sarah with a cold, piercing glare that made even her mother freeze. Chloe didn't throw a party for you, Sarah, I said, my voice carrying clearly. Across the silent lobby, she charged you $100 a head, put underage kids on a live stream for creepy strangers on the internet, and pocketed over $15,000 in promoter kickbacks.
You weren't guests.
You were paying extras in her scheme. That's a lie. Sarah sobbed. Chloe loves us. If she loved you, I replied smoothly, she wouldn't have put your face on an adult streaming site without your consent. The parents in the room gasped. Several mothers turned toward their children with expressions of sheer horror. What is she talking about? One father roared at his son. What streaming site? I didn't stay to watch the rest of the squabbling. Detective Miller stepped out of the inner office and escorted my parents and me into a private room. Miss Crawford, Detective Miller said, placing a thick stack of printed records on the table. We searched Chloe Henderson's personal laptop and phone at the
scene.
Everything you provided matches her digital trail, and it's actually much worse than we thought. He leaned forward, lowering his voice. Chloe wasn't just hosting a party.
She
signed a contract 3 months ago with an offshore talent network.
She promised
to deliver exclusive, high school-themed content in exchange for clearing a heavy debt. She had installed hidden cameras in the VIP bathrooms of that penthouse. My stomach turned, but I maintained my composure. In my past life, I had no idea about the hidden cameras. If that party had gone forward without police intervention, dozens of young girls from our class would have had their lives destroyed permanently on the dark web. What about Logan Carter? I asked. Logan Carter was arrested outside your building, Detective Miller confirmed. He tried to flee, but officers picked him up 3 blocks away. He's currently being held for attempted trespassing, harassment, and conspiracy.
Because he
actively attempted to physically drag you to the venue after you refused. His charges are criminal. And Chloe is facing multiple felony counts, Detective Miller said plainly.
Child
endangerment, wire fraud, operating an illegal gambling and streaming ring, and privacy violations. Because she was 18 as of last month, she will be charged as an adult. I looked at the glass wall of the interrogation room. Across the hall through a one-way mirror, I could see Chloe Henderson sitting in a small holding cell. She wasn't wearing her glittering red dress anymore. She was wrapped in a cheap police blankets. Her makeup was ruined, her hair was a tangled mess, and she was sobbing uncontrollably as a public defender tried to explain the severity of her situation. In my past life, she had jumped off a building and made me her scapegoat. In this life, she was going to face the full, unyielding weight of the justice
system.
Over the next 48 hours, the story broke locally, then nationally. High school valedictorian exposes illegal adult live stream party at luxury penthouse. News vans parked outside Azure Heights. The school district issued a rushed, frantic statement condemning the actions of the students involved while praising the courageous whistleblowing of Sienna Crawford. The class Snapchat group was officially deleted by Snapchat admins after federal investigators subpoenaed the entire chat history. But a new, unofficial group chat was created by a few remaining students, and my phone was flooded with frantic, contradictory messages. Some were begging for mercy. Justin, Sienna, please tell the police I was just drinking beer. I didn't know about the streaming stuff. My football scholarship to Ohio State just got
Pulled.
Please help me. Maya's mom. Sienna, Maya is only 17. She was tricked by Chloe.
Can you
Tell the prosecutor that Maya was a victim, so they dropped the misdemeanor charges. Others were still spewing venom. Logan's sister. You ruined my brother's life.
He's sitting in jail right now.
Because of your lies. You're a monster, Sienna. I blocked every single one of them.
I didn't owe them my sympathy.
I didn't owe them my silence. When I was the victim in my past life, not a single one of these people stood up for me.
When
Logan dragged me to the roof, when they forced me to my knees before Chloe's memorial picture, when they shoved me over the edge into the abyss, they all
watched.
They all cheered. They all believed I deserved it because I ruined their fun. They loved the illusion of freedom, but they hated the cost of accountability. 3 days after the raid, I received a call from the principal's office.
They
wanted me to come in to sign my final transcript releases and collect my valedictorian plaque. When I arrived at the school, the hallway felt completely different. Usually bursting with noise, laughter, and high school drama, the corridors were eerie and silent. Teachers walked around with grim expressions. Guidance counselors were holding emergency sessions for traumatized students. Principal Vance, who happened to be Maya Vance's uncle, was sitting behind his mahogany desk. He looked 10 years older than he had at graduation. Sienna, Principal Vance said, his voice quiet as he handed me a leather-bound folder containing my official diploma and valedictorian award. I want to thank
you
officially. If you hadn't alerted the authorities, what happened in that penthouse could have destroyed dozens of lives beyond repair. I just did what was legally necessary, Principal Vance. I replied neutrally. He sighed, rubbing his temples. Maya told her mother everything. Chloe had been blackmailing her with photos from a previous party to force her to come tonight. You saved my niece from something terrible, even if she's too foolish to realize it right now. Is Chloe getting bail? I asked. Principal Vance shook his head. Her parents refused to post it. They hired an attorney, but when the police showed them the financial records showing Chloe had been secretly stealing from her parents' credit cards to fund her lifestyle, they washed their hands of her. She's being transferred to the county facility tomorrow. And Logan's family tried to post bail, but the judge deemed him a flight risk due to his threats against you, Principal Vance said softly. His trial is set for next month. He's looking at 2 to 4 years in state prison. I accepted my diploma, tucked it neatly under my arm, and stood up. Thank you, Principal Vance, I said. Have a nice summer. As I walked out of the high school building for the very last time, the bright afternoon sunlight hit my face. The warm breeze carried the scent of summer, blooming flowers. My phone chimed. It was an email notification from Stanford University. Dear Miss Crawford, we are pleased to confirm your enrollment for the upcoming fall quarter. Your housing assignment in the Honors Residential Hall has been finalized. I closed my phone, stepped into my car, and drove away without looking back in the rearview mirror once. 6 months later, the air inside the Superior Courtroom was thick and cold. Sunlight bled through the high, arched windows, cutting through the silence of the crowded gallery. I sat in the front row reserved for prosecution witnesses, wearing a tailored navy blue blazer and dark slacks. Beside me sat my parents holding hands. Quietly, on the defense side of the room sat Chloe Henderson and Logan Carter. They were no longer the glamorous, arrogant high school royalty who ruled the hallways of our senior year. Chloe was wearing a plain, ill-fitting gray jumpsuit. Her golden hair had grown out, showing dark roots, tied back in a messy bun. Her face was completely bare, of makeup, pale and hollowed out. She looked smaller, defeated, and terrified. Logan sat next to his public defender, wearing a dark suit that hung loosely on his frame. He had lost significant weight, and the furious spark that used to define his violent temper was completely gone. He kept his head bowed, staring blankly at the wooden table. "All rise for the Honorable Judge Rebecca Vance," the bailiff announced. Everyone stood as the judge took her bench. "We are here today for the sentencing of Chloe Henderson and Logan Carter," Judge Vance announced, her voice echoing clearly off the marble walls.
Miss
Henderson has entered a guilty plea to 2 counts of criminal exploitation of minors, 1 count of wire fraud, and 1 count of operating an illegal enterprise. Mr. Carter has entered a guilty plea to attempted unlawful restraint, felony harassment, and obstruction of justice. The prosecutor stood up. "Your Honor, before sentencing, the prosecution would like to call Miss Sienna Crawford to deliver her victim impact statement." "Granted," the judge said, looking down at me with a nod. I stood up smoothly, picking up a single sheet of paper from my lap, and walked toward the podium. As I passed the defense table, Chloe looked up. Her eyes met mine. For a brief second, I saw a flicker of that old, toxic resentment in her glare, the belief that she was somehow the victim of my unwillingness to comply. I adjusted the microphone and looked directly at the judge. "Your Honor," I began, my voice clear, steady, and utterly devoid of fear. 6 months ago, I was asked why I chose to report this crime instead of simply ignoring it or trying to reason with my classmates. I paused, looking over at Chloe and Logan. "I tried reasoning once," I said softly, a subtle nod to a past life that only I remembered. "It doesn't work. People who believe that their fun, their profit, and their vanity are more important than the safety, dignity, and consent of others cannot be reasoned with. They can only be stopped." I turned my gaze directly to Logan. Mr. Carter believed that because he was strong, because he had friends who would cheer him on, he could show up at my doorstep, intimidate me, and force me into a dangerous situation to profit his friend. He thought there were no consequences for wielding fear against someone who just wanted to stay safe. Logan squeezed his eyes shut, his shoulders trembling. "And Miss Henderson," I continued, turning to Chloe. "She used youth, freedom, and making memories as a shield to hide her own greed. She sold her peers out to anonymous strangers online, willingly putting 17-year-old children in danger just to clear a debt she brought upon herself." I turned back to the judge. "I do not ask for vengeance, Your Honor. I ask for justice, not just for myself, but for every student who was lied to, exploited, and used as collateral. Freedom without boundaries isn't freedom, it's lawlessness. And it is time they finally enter the real adult world they were so eager to explore." I folded my paper, nodded to the judge, and walked back to my seat. The silence in the courtroom was absolute. Judge Vance adjusted her glasses and looked down at the defendants with a cold,
unielding stare.
"Miss Henderson," the judge spoke, her voice dropping like a heavy iron gavel. "Your actions were calculated, predatory, and entirely devoid of remorse until you were caught red-handed on your own live stream. You traded the safety of your peers for cash." Chloe began to sob silently, shaking her head. "Your Honor, please. I was young, I didn't know." "Silence," Judge Vance snapped sharply. "You were 18 years old. You were an adult legally, and you chose to act like a criminal predator. On count 1, I sentence you to 7 years in the state correctional facility. On counts 2 and 3, an additional 4 years, to run concurrently." 7 years. Chloe collapsed forward onto the table, wailing hysterical tears. Her attorney tried to pat her shoulder, but she slapped his hand away, screaming uncontrollably as the bailiffs stepped forward to handcuff her. "Mr. Carter," Judge Vance continued, turning her gaze to Logan, "your attempt to physically coerce and harass a fellow student at her home, followed by your attempt to evade law enforcement, shows a blatant disregard for authority and personal boundaries. I sentence you to 3 years in state custody, with 2 years of mandatory probation upon release." Logan didn't scream. He simply buried his face in his hands as the handcuffs clicked loudly around his wrists. The bailiffs pulled both of them up from their seats. As Chloe was being led out through the side door toward the holding cells, she turned her tear-soaked face toward me one last time. "Sienna," she screamed, her voice cracking with wild desperation. "Sienna,
Please, help me."
Tell them I'm sorry. Sienna. I sat in my chair, upright and calm, watching her disappear behind the heavy,
steel door.
I didn't smile. I didn't cheer. I simply felt the heavy iron chains of my past. Life shatter into dust and blow away forever. 9 months later, the autumn leaves at Stanford University were vibrant shades of gold and crimson, fluttering gently across the cobblestone paths of the main quad. I sat on a wooden bench outside the green library, laptop open, sipping a warm vanilla latte. Surrounding me were students from all over the world, future doctors, engineers, writers, and scientists talking animatedly about economics, literature, and quantum physics. No drama. No sketchy live streams. No toxic high school politics. My phone buzzed on the bench beside me. It was a text from my mother, sending me a picture of our family dog at home, followed by a link to a local news update from my hometown. I clicked the link out of mild curiosity. Article: Azure Heights penthouse appeal denied for Chloe Henderson. The article briefly noted that the appellate court had rejected Chloe's plea for an early release, citing her lack of accountability during incarceration. Logan Carter had been moved to a minimum security facility after serving his first year, his football prospects entirely gone, his future reduced to rebuilding a life from a criminal record. I closed the browser tab and permanently deleted the bookmark. A classmate from my advanced political theory seminar, a bright girl named Elena, walked over, carrying 2 iced coffees and a stack of textbooks. Hey, Sienna. Elena smiled warmly, sitting down next to me on the bench.
R.
You ready for the midterm presentation today? Professor Vance said your essay on constitutional law was the best in the class. I'm ready. I smiled softly, closing my laptop and packing it into my leather bag. How about you? Panicking a little, Elena laughed, taking a sip of her coffee. But hey, we worked hard for this. We deserve to be here. Yes, I said, looking up at the bright blue sky shining above the campus towers. We really do. In my past life, I tried to save everyone, and it cost me my life. In this life, I saved myself and inherited the entire world. I stood up, walked alongside my new friends toward the lecture hall, and stepped boldly, peacefully, and unconditionally into my future.